Hi, boys and girls. Today, we'll be talking about dinosaurs.
Hello there, fellow travelers. It's Tim from Secret Fire Books, back with another indie book review. This time around, I'm going to be talking about N R LaPoint's Death Planet. It could be pronounced LaPoint. I'm not actually sure about that. But until I'm informed otherwise, I'm just going to keep calling him LaPoint. But this is the first book in his Dinosaur Warfare series. It's actually a trilogy. I don't know if he plans on writing any more books, but for now it is a trilogy. And I stumbled upon this book while I was browsing around on Amazon looking for self-published fantasy and science fiction. And it was right around the time where I had finished reading Death World, the Death World trilogy by Harry Harrison. And if you watched the Death World review that me and my friends from the Elusive Exclusive Book Society did, then you'll know that I was not the biggest fan of Death World. In fact, I said it was probably one of the most miserable reading experiences of my life, that Death World 2 is probably the worst book I've ever read. And I found this book right around the time I'd finished Death World 3. And I thought to myself, maybe, just maybe, Death Planet is the Death World I never got. That cover, that excellent, psychedelic, brightly colored cover for the Death World trilogy promised me so much. It promised me action and adventure and good old pulpy fun, and I got none of that. I was horribly disappointed by Death World, but Death Planet absolutely delivered, and I'm going to be reading the rest of the Dinosaur Warfare series sometime soon for sure. The story takes place, as a lot of these future SF stories tend to, in a distant future where mankind has spread its influence across the universe. We have colonized multiple different planets. We've built up civilizations on those planets to the point where there are many generations of human beings who don't even know anything about Earth or its history. They just know the planet that they've grown up on. We're that far into the future. And when we first meet our main group of characters, they are refugees. They have been subjugated by this invading group of aliens called the Vidarians. The Vidarians are taking over everything on their home planet, and they decide to rise up against them. This small group of average people decide to revolt against the Vidarians, and they're led by a guy named Ambrose Weaver. Now, Ambrose isn't really a authority figure of any kind. He's not a military figure or anything. He's a pretty normal guy. In fact, I think he reveals at some point that he used to be a data analyst, and it comes as this big revelation because everyone thought that he must have been some kind of leader figure on his home planet, but he's not. He's just a normal guy. He just has a very strong sense of justice and a lot of charisma. He's a very strong personality. So he assumes control, or assumes leadership of this group of refugees, and they band together and steal a Vidarian spaceship. They take off the planet and are pursued by these Vidarians who shoot them down over a uncharted planet called Typhon. And Ambrose and his cobbled together crew learn pretty quickly that Typhon is pretty much the worst planet where they could have crash landed, because it is a planet of prehistory. Either the planet is only just now going through the same kind of evolutions that our planet Earth went through millions of years ago, or there was some kind of sentient race living on this planet before who have genetically engineered the life forms here, because there's dinosaurs all over the place. There's dinosaurs everywhere you look. As soon as they land, this flock of pterosaurs actually attacks Ambrose. They try to eat him, and he has to fight them off and regroup with his crew. So very quickly they realize that this whole planet can kill them. So they have to band together, learn how to work together, and survive on this hostile planet of Typhon. Now, in this distant future, humanity has developed these things called pollules, and they are essentially these artificially created microorganisms that are injected into the bloodstream, and they help protect the human body against infections and diseases that would usually be much more deadly for humans. And they also help the human body reconstruct itself and regenerate from wounds a lot better, a lot quicker. than they normally would under normal circumstances. And so it comes in pretty handy for these people who are trapped on this alien planet. But it also serves another purpose. Pretty soon after the crash, their leader, Ambrose, is attacked by a Carnotaurus, the dinosaur in the cover there. He's attacked by this Carnotaurus, and after he gets to safety, he notices that the Carnotaur nipped his leg and has drawn some blood and consumed some of his blood. And he also notices after that the Carnotaur has become strangely docile, and it seems to be responding to his thoughts, weirdly enough. And one of the other characters, who is this tech genius, this kind of scientific whiz kid character, he theorizes that because the Carnotaur consumed Ambrose's blood and therefore his pollules, and because the dinosaur's DNA is so primitive, the pollules have taken over its bloodstream and have established this chemical hormonal link between the dinosaur and Ambrose. So he can now essentially control it with his thoughts and emotions. And it's a pretty flimsy pseudoscience, but it's a way for the writer to just kind of hand wave away the fact that her characters can control dinosaurs now. They can tame dinosaurs and manipulate them to their will. And that's exactly what they do. They start capturing these dinosaurs and injecting them with their blood so they can control them in this hormonal or telepathic kind of way. And very soon they employ them for defense, because the dinosaurs and the other prehistoric animals on this planet aren't the only things trying to kill them. There is also this race of sentient bugmen that live in a city on the other side of the jungle. And soon after they land, they start attacking Ambrose and his crew at their camp. And so they employ these manipulated dinosaurs to defend them and protect their camp. And they eventually end up waging war on this group of alien bugs, which is why we call it dinosaur warfare. And it's pretty awesome. There's lots of action in this story, lots of laser guns and explosions and dinosaurs ripping things to shreds. It's a lot of brutal adrenaline junkie kind of fun, and I appreciated it quite a bit. Now, I will say that even though I did enjoy the action and adventure elements of this story, what I liked most of all was actually the characters, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting this book to be some really cheesy, it is cheesy, but I was expecting the characters to be very one-note, very one-dimensional, and that is not the case. These characters have quite a bit of depth to them. The character writing is really, really good. Their interactions with each other are really interesting. The dialogue writing is very good, very snappy, very quippy. I did feel like a few times like I was watching a more modern Marvel movie where the characters had to be a little too quippy, and they had to drop some kind of goofy one-liner in the middle of a really tense situation, and I didn't really appreciate that. But for the most part, these were really good character interactions. You get to know the individual members of Ambrose's crew very well. And for quite a few of them, there are these interludes that are peppered around in the story between certain chapters that give you a look at their lives right before the Vidarians invaded and ruined everything for everyone. You get to see a little bit of their lives before everything went wrong. And I thought that was very interesting. And I'm really excited to see how these characters develop over the course of the series. I'm really interested to see where their relationships end up in the next book. The only real problem that I have with this book, and I will say it's a minor spoiler, just a minor one. But for a book called Death Planet, the kill count is surprisingly low. It's not that I didn't like these characters. I really did like them quite a bit. I didn't want them to die, but I thought that N R LaPoint was building them up with, their backstories and their relationships that they're developing in order to kill them off. I thought that was kind of the point. You name a book Death Planet, you expect people to die, and there's quite a few hairy situations that these characters get into where while I was reading, I was thinking to myself, okay, this guy's dead, or this girl's dead, but it didn't happen. There were a few casualties, there were a few, but by the end of the book, most of the named characters are still alive and well, and I feel like they kind of had some plot armor going on. So I was a little bummed by that, but I didn't let it, dampen my enjoyment of the book overall. I would definitely recommend this. I'd recommend this to anyone who likes classic science fiction, classic adventure fiction, especially if you like dinosaurs. If you like dinosaurs, you'll love this book. There were a lot of times where I felt the old dinosaur nostalgia itch, because I loved dinosaurs when I was a kid, and I kept seeing names of dinosaurs I recognized. I was like, oh, I know what that one looks like. I don't need pictures. I know what that one looks like. Because I would devour any dinosaur book that I had as a kid. So I knew my dinosaurs pretty well back then, and this was this was a good little nostalgia trip for me in a way. So, yeah, please show N R LaPoint some love. I'll include the link to this book on Amazon in the description. So check it out. Buy a copy of his book. Show him some support. Support your indie authors, people. I can't stress that enough. Support your indie authors. But that's all for now, guys. Please, as always, let me know in the comments. Have you read Death World? Or not Death World. Don't read Death World. Please, don't. Do yourself a favor. Don't read Death World. Have you read Death Planet by N R LaPoint? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, farewell and keep reading.
I'm a raptor, doing what I can, gonna eat everything till the appearance of man.